Hey, Husky fans, welcome back to another episode of Fourth and Inches, a Husky podcast. I am your host. I'm back again. I'm Leah. I'm joined by my buddy, Coach V. Jake is sick today, and Trevor may join in flight. He's dealing with a stubborn 2-year-old right now. So, hope to see you a little bit, buddy. Coach, it's been a week. It's been a week where we did not come out on the winning side of things in our rivalry game against Oregon. It's not a very good place to live on Husky Twitter right now. Um, we lost by 12 at Husky Stadium. Had some momentum in the fourth quarter, had a big touchdown, and then seconds later it was taken away from us. So we came up on the short end of the stick. What were your first impressions of the game watching it from home?
Amateur hour. Defense played great. Offense shit the bed again. This time at home. So yeah, it's still work in progress. They're still really young. The last when they scored that last touchdown, you think, okay, you need to get a stop. And then the touchdown they gave up was so absurdly like you've got them surrounded on all sides, and just nobody was able to like get him down. Saw some questionable effort, some guys jogging after the play, and it's like, yeah, okay, I get it. You guys are tired. You've been on the field a lot. You know, squarely on the offense on Saturday, unfortunately, because they should be very good on offense.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt like, there was a point there up until that last touchdown that we gave up. It was 19-14. The Huskies had scored two touchdowns, and the Oregon was up by 5 and had only scored one. And it looked like Washington, when it wanted to, could move the ball, but it was a question of kind of weird play calling and not seizing the moment, taking deep shots that were really poorly timed. Continue to have turnover problem with Damon underthrowing balls to his favorite receiver, Denzel Washington. I wish Denzel Boston. That's the first time we've ever done that though, so that's actually pretty impressive. So um, it was just it was disappointing. Um, the fan show out was not as bad as Ohio State, but it wasn't great. We had people in our own section who shall remain nameless that they didn't sell their tickets; they just straight up gave them to Oregon fans. Um,
Hmm.
I'm
I
still not.
had to. Sorry, go ahead. I had to sell my tickets because I couldn't come up, but I was selling them to people that like I knew that were friends, right? And the people I sit next to, they were on a cruise, like a Mexico, like San Diego going to Mexico cruise, and so they couldn't go. They sold their tickets to a friend. She asked me if I had another ticket, and I said I'll give you one of them, and then my other buddy's going to take the other one. And then she proceeded to tell everybody later that the friend that she was one of the friends she was bringing was a duck. And I texted her and I said, "Listen, I love you. He can't sit in one of my seats."
Mhm.
So she's like, "Got you, I got you." And I was like, "Man, this is crazy." But a lot of chatter out there the last year or so about can Adam Mohammed be a feature running back?
Yeah, absolutely.
And with Jonah getting nicked up with the knee injury, he's really played well the last few weeks. And the most frustrating thing for most fans is every time he would get rolling, then they would just get a little pass happy. I know Hooligan was very upset. His phrase was spamming the pass. And I can't disagree with him. I understand why you do it because, you have certain things you need to do. You don't want to get too predictable. You don't want to just stack the box and take advantage of things.
Yeah.
But Oregon wasn't adjusting. They were playing with a light box the entire time. I think that we could have been more patient. And I feel like that's the thing. Like we're always hunting the big play, but taking a long drive and maybe it's 12, 13, 14 plays or whatever to score a touchdown. It's just not something that these guys they're not very patient. So that's one of the hardest things to do when you're like a play caller or if you're just a quarterback or you're on the field, you want to score and you want to score fast. But that's not always in the best interest of your team. So very inconsistent, very young, and God, I hope it gets better
I mean,
next year.
I don't know what you saw on TV, but it seemed like Washington could and should have been patient to what you're talking about because sometimes I think about when you're taking a deep shot that you're trying to score when you can because you don't think that you're going to be able to compete against Oregon. What I saw against the Ducks on Saturday was like we are not as deep as they are for sure. Their lines are really good and they have some really great skill players. Shout out to them. Maybe not a shout out, but tip your cap to them. Um, but I don't think that they were that much better than Washington that we needed to get cute on Oregon. I thought that
They
with Ohio State for sure, we need to get a little bit cute on them because they are really really good. They are hand over fist better than Washington. I did not believe. Go ahead, coach.
Yeah, I just thought that they played with more composure. Like, I think they felt comfortable in their situation and they were going to run their stuff. And, it's one of those things where, like, when you talk about Oregon, what's their strength on defense? It's the front, it's the defensive line, it's the edge play. And we have to be conscious of that at all times. Excuse me. Um, on their end, I don't think they were too worried about our pass rush. When we brought pressure, a little extra pressure, that's when, things can get a little interesting. But I said it all year long. We're not a dynamic pass rushing defensive front. We have to bring pressure. We have to get creative. Um, it's one of the differences in the ball game is just they didn't really worry about it. And yeah, we did get to Dante Moore a few times, and yeah, there was some pressure, but he was very comfortable stepping back, hitting his back foot, and just every time we went press man on the outside, they went and picked on the freshman, and they hit it, and they did a good job of that. There are some things that Robinson's going to have to learn, being a true freshman and being, starting at corner, a lot of physical upside, a lot of talent. He's got to get hands on those receivers. He's got to reroute people. But I just thought that Oregon was composed and they did, they played well. They weren't, I'm still not thinking they're nearly as good as they were the last couple of years.
Mm-mm.
I think if Washington plays a better game, they win.
Agreed.
But they did not play a good game. So
But
defense, hats off to you guys. You did great. Offense, work in progress.
Oregon fans thought they were going to come in here and put up a 40 burger on the Huskies. I knew that wasn't going to happen, but I also did not think that the Huskies would lose on the foot of Atticus Sappington.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I said, defense, they did their job, but for the most part, it's just really frustrating to watch our offense give the ball away. And I don't want to get too far down the road. We'll talk about the recruiting stuff at a later time. One of the better recruiting classes we've had in 20 years. Still need to find a punter. And the sleeper agent known as Nick Dunn, who just kept giving the ball back in advantageous positions to the Ducks. He had one good punt that got downed inside the 10.
Yeah.
And it's just like, come on, man. I don't know. I would trade a good portion of NIL funds if we could just get a special teams in there that like you could rely on. Make all your kicks, pin opponents back, cover. Like I would give up a large chunk of money to ensure that we had a dominant special teams again.
Hmm. Absolutely. I like that you called him Nick Dunn. His name is Luke Dunn, but I actually feel like for someone that I don't like, Nick is actually a
Who's
really
Nick Dunn? That's a real person somewhere, but I'm not trying to disrespect the guy. Luke Dunn, Nick Dunn, it's done. Hopefully he's done. I don't give a shit. Like he needs to be away. He needs to go away.
yeah, for sure. Oh, should we get into the positions? Let's do it. Um,
Pause.
pause.
Did you hear what you just said?
Into the position. Sorry. Apologize for those listening at home. I know who's going to call me out on that at Joshua Tufts. Um,
He's running somewhere right now.
well, he's running somewhere every single day. No skips. Hashtag no skips. Okay, so Demond, how did he do on Saturday?
He did not as well as he needed to play. And that's like, I mean, so we talked about like being impatient, right? Um, and somebody, it might have been a hooligan, it might have been somebody else who was mentioning in our group chat, like Why are we taking, deep shots against it? And so first of all, most offensive like passing plays have some kind of vertical route already in the route, and it doesn't mean you have to throw it pre-snap. You take a look at what they show. If it looks like if it looks like they're at too high, you're probably not going to throw you're probably not going to throw the ball down the on the in the nine route. You're probably going to go middle field open. If they're single high, you want to get them on the outside the hashes. But it also just like pre-snap look is telling you a lot. I didn't get to see any, actual game film. I don't know if they showed one look and then rotated back, but by the time he let the ball go, there was already help over the top. Um, Trail corner, it was a cover two look to that side and the ball was not thrown far enough. I have seen this kid play for years, and this year is baffling to me. Like the grip, just it doesn't look the same coming out of his hands ever since the Ohio State game. I keep going back to that. I'm not trying to start a conspiracy theory like something's wrong with him or whatever, but I think like he's not operating 100% because I've seen him like zip the ball for years.
Yeah.
So that was woefully underthrown. That's a turnover. Honestly, it was a bad decision. Like he should have come off of that immediately. And instead, I think the clock was just kind of sped up a little bit. He was worried about getting sacked. He got rid of the ball, but it just wasn't a good effort. So I think Demond looked like a first year starter at times this year, even though he did play a lot last year. Um, he's really got to get in the film room and he's really got to examine like what these teams are trying to do to him and next year eliminate all these mistakes.
Yeah. What would you give him as a grade?
C. I think there are good parts. I think there are horrible parts. I think there's stuff in between. But C plus, it wasn't good enough because
Right.
obviously the offense didn't do anything.
Right. Yeah, I felt like, I was probably picking on him a little bit in our group chat. Uh, Coach already knows. I just feel like sometimes he makes enough poor decisions to take us out of the game and take away opportunities for us. So it's frustrating to watch when I feel like the defense is just playing so well, holding these guys. This is a good football team that we played, holding them to field goals, which very few teams have done. Short of what Iowa and Indiana, we played them just as tough. So to not be able to put up the points that we are certainly capable of putting up in Husky Stadium was very disappointing. And that's a little bit of play calling. It's a little bit of Demond not playing his best. So I agree with the C.
Honestly, the play calling thing, I think just philosophically, ride your horse. Let's go. I think Adam was having a game. They didn't really play Jordan Washington that much until towards the end. Um, they really had an advantage on the ground because Oregon refused to like. I mean, they were using a spy, obviously, but they weren't stacking the box and saying we're coming after you. It was more like we feel like we can do it with seven in the box, and then one of those guys is just going to keep an eye on Demond. Um, he still broke free for a few times, but he was taking a lot of hits too. And that's another thing that we can't underestimate is like taking those shots early in the game. How does it affect you throwing the ball later in the game? I always say, I live down here in the valley, and my theme for many years down here when people want to talk about Kyler Murray is all you have to do is hit him a few times. And then he starts to get a little erratic and like you make some big plays, but if you hit him a few times, he's going to start hearing footsteps. He's going to start throwing the ball high and away. I'm not putting Demond in that category, but he's not the biggest dude in the world. You cannot take these shots. Part of it's him, part of it's his coach not protecting you.
Yeah, I think it's really fair. Um, we talked a little bit about Adam briefly. Adam is really turning into a really solid and very reliable back. How'd he do on Saturday?
He was great. He did everything he was supposed to do. He I'd have to go back and chart it, but I thought he did well in pass pro when they actually left him in there. A couple times where we just weren't on the same page, and I mean, that could be a total breakdown somewhere else completely. But I thought he did great. I thought the receivers played well for the most part. I think the offensive line did a good job for the most part. Where we get into trouble is just penalties and missed assignments, and then all of a sudden you're instead of like 3rd and 2, you're at like 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12, and you're just not going to make hay like playing like that all day long.
Absolutely. I thought he did like A minus work. He was really solid. Anytime, for the most part, anytime he got the football, he made something happen, which is really all
Yeah,
you can ask
he
for.
was, he was running extremely hard. The offensive line was doing a good job of like getting to the second level. And
Hmm.
once he broke through the A gap or the B gap, he was just sort of running people over a little bit, and they were just scrambling to kind of get to the ball and get him down. He's a big, strong kid. I mean, he really is a physical specimen. So, I mean, if he gets a little bit of, if he can get going, just get up to speed, like you're in trouble. Then he's been doing it, for the last month.
Yeah.
So,
What about
it's,
wide receivers?
Denzel playing at less than 100% still did pretty well. And he took, like, a lot of times he was the decoy. So I feel like, stats aside, we didn't have a great passing day. I thought the guys did a decent job for, the opportunities they had. Desmond came to life in the second half.
Hmm.
Um, Denzel got that touchdown. The touchdown late where they cut the lead down and we thought, all right, we're in this. Um, I even tweeted about it. I was so nerding out. Like they put him in motion and he doesn't even get all the way to the formation. They run him through the C gap. He slips through between the guard and the tackle. And then they run this extended widened mesh concept where he just got lost. Like they didn't know. It's hard to pick a guy up when he comes through the line instead of, by the hashes of the numbers or whatever. And he cuts across the middle of the field. They got action going the other way. And by the time they figure out where he is, he's wide open. And it was like, wow, that was a great play. That C gap insert mesh play is like something in the last year or two that's really been trendy in college football. And you're seeing it in the NFL now on Sundays this year. I will be in my head coach's ear this spring talking about we need to add some more of this because I think that it's really hard to cover. So hats off to Jedd. Great play, great call, got us back in the ball game, and then we, pissed down our leg. But
Yep. Yeah, I thought that wide receivers had moments of good. And I think they just Jed and play calling and Damon and his receivers weren't always on the same page. I'd give him as a unit, I'd give him a B
they did some great blocking too in the run game. So, that's something that I always appreciate.
for sure. And what about the line on offense?
They did fine. I thought Henning was so good. I think like it was last game of the game before, like the last couple games where his snaps were kind of all over the place and
Yes.
causing an issue, and he got that under control. He was physical as F. Like he was like going up against two absolute dogs. And Amari Washington is a Chandler High School kid who's one of the strongest. Like you can't move this guy, right? And when we played against them a few years ago, we had a kid who's a college offensive lineman now. He was a D1 kid, and he's like, I can't move this guy. He's the strongest dude I've ever seen. And that kid's really come into his own. Um, their front was really good, and I thought Henning did a really good job. I thought Mills did a good job. I thought Carver did a good job. Like across the board, considering who they were going against, I thought like they did a good job.
Yeah, it just makes me, I mean, like, because we've had so much improvement on the O line, we've had like that's kind of our problem children, especially with the health we struggled with in the middle of the year. When the line is playing well, the running back room is playing well, the wide receiving room is playing pretty well, and you can't score, it's like, okay, well, then what's the problem?
I know everybody wants to say the quarterback, and
I wasn't hinting at that. I was actually
well, no,
hinting.
I heard a lot of people say that and tweet that and whatever. I just, he didn't have a great game, but just the whole thing wasn't fitting together.
Yeah.
And I want to give Oregon credit for just kind of just playing a simple game plan and sticking to their fundamentals and whatever. But
You have to?
I also don't want to. So
It's not
fuck it. I
welcome.
don't care.
Yeah.
It was our fault. It was whatever. I don't care.
I mean, they thought they were going to get to Husky Stadium and again run us out of the building, and they really didn't. They had to win on a field goal kicker. And if you're the number 5 team in the country, you're probably not winning a football game against your unranked rival based on field goal kicking if you're really number 5.
The problem is our offense looked like number 2 all day. So
They really did. They really did.
effort's
So
my
we'll wrap up the offense with an MVP of the offense. I would say Adam.
yeah. I don't know. I just think that he was great. And again, I thought just maybe not the MVP, but just somebody like I said, Henning was so impressive.
Really improved.
He was, and then just being his third start. Um, I think that going into the spring, there might actually be a little bit of a competition.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right, defense. We've already talked about them. They played their tails off. They had a really good game. They kept Oregon out of the end zone except for 2 times. One of them was just probably tired legs, defensive laps. But outside of that, they really, really played a very, very good football game.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of complaints. A couple busts here and there, but I mean, Alex is still flying around. I thought that Jacob Lane just continues to be a workman type guy on the edge that's setting the edge and trying to get some pressure in there. Durfee flashed a couple times. Uyunglele and that group on the interior did a good job all day, all game long. Like they didn't run wild on us like at all. Um, it was a good effort. I thought Price Lock played a good game. Dylan Robinson had his moments, but he also, got picked on a little bit, and that's what happens when you're a true freshman and you're in a first rivalry game like that.
Yeah,
The young safeties had really good plays, and then there are a couple, excuse me, there are a couple plays where you want to have back. I know that Clark and RDA and those guys probably want a couple plays back where they're like,
yeah,
oh, they got me. But I mean, they did the job. They played well enough for us to win.
yeah. The reason that we lost the football game, regardless of how we feel about Oregon getting that last touchdown, um, the defense gave us a chance. Absolutely. So the loss is not on the defense. How'd the line do? Line slash edge.
Like I said, they did a good job. They didn't generate a ton of pressure when, Dante Moore is the kind of kid that you got to get him on the ground. And we didn't do that enough. But I thought that, as far as in the run game and just enough to kind of push the pocket a little bit, I think they did okay. I
Yeah,
would say B minus,
yeah,
B minus. That's nothing to be ashamed of because Oregon's a good team.
yeah. I mean, again, once again, like played a really, really good team at Husky Stadium, made it tough on them. They covered, but I'm sure Oregon, like again, wanted to win by 30, and they did not. Um, Linebackers.
So we've got a situation where we kind of like our linebackers a lot. I think they played a pretty good game. There are a couple instances where I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and kind of like really dig into some of the coverage responsibilities and whatnot. Um, it was a really good learning game for the young guys.
Mhm.
And, X3, he played his typical game. He was physical. He was all over the place. Zay's learning. I think a couple times Zay had opportunities to make plays and maybe just hesitate a little bit because
Mhm.
Oregon's showing him something he hasn't seen yet. But they did a good job. I have no real issues with that group.
Mhm.
Um, and let's be honest. When you say the linebacker group, and then you see, Alex McLaughlin walked up on the line of scrimmage. He was part linebacker too.
Totally agree.
So it's the scheme is very it's versatile, but at the same time they're trying to press the issue on a lot of things, and so safeties become linebackers. Not a lot of help in the back end sometimes. Not a lot of zone coverage. It's just those guys are within 8 yards of the line of scrimmage, and they're all linebackers at that point.
Mhm. What grade would you give him?
I would say B. It wasn't outstanding, but it was good enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about corners? We just kind of talked about safeties, like with, McLaughlin, but
I think one side of the field gets a B plus, one side of the field gets a C minus. Like I said, they kept picking on the young guy. It's not his fault. These are like learning opportunities. Um, my biggest thing with Dylan is like if you're a 6'3" guy and you want to come up and play press man, you got to get hands on. You got to redirect. A lot of free releases, and those are usually big explosive plays down the sideline. They hit him a few times, and it was like, golly, can we just redirect somebody? Because if you don't, the guy hits his back foot and he just throws the ball. If you do, then the timing's off. He's got to hold the ball a little bit longer. Maybe the pass rush gets there. One of the things, kind of go off track here. Mike McDonald, the head coach of the Seahawks, was talking about their pressures a couple weeks ago. And he said the biggest key to their pressure packages is the secondary being able to play in that in between area where they make the quarterback hold the ball an extra beat, an extra pat. And that was not happening at all. That was like, oh, I see you. I hit my back foot, the ball's gone, you know, 40-yard play. And so that's the give and take of that, the coverage and the pass rush. Like,
yeah,
hey, gotta make him hold it just a little bit longer.
I think it's a good thing that like our young guys are getting burned and not our experienced guys because it sounds like we can show these kids some film and say like, hey, you got a lot of room for improvement. This is one of the areas that we're gonna ask a lot more from you.
And Dylan has to be, thought of as like a starter next year
Hmm.
because obviously two seniors graduating, you don't know who's going to go in the portal. He's the guy they're going to build around in that secondary, and they're probably going to have to go out and get a veteran in the portal, like like they have the last couple of years. But they're counting on him to take a big jump next year.
Yeah,
So it's up to him to get his technique down, his
for
hands,
sure.
and just get better.
Who would you say is the defensive MVP?
I'm always trying to find somebody else besides Alex.
Yeah.
And I can't sometimes because he's just like, I know what he does. I know what his responsibilities are, and they're a lot. And so I'm okay with saying Alex one more time. But
I'm
yeah.
gonna do that too. Is there anybody over in Flagstaff that we can get to in the portal? He was such a
Yeah.
find.
I have a feeling that his success story this year is going to kind of make us very appealing. Like, oh man, they can take anybody from anywhere and
Hmm.
plug them into this system. I think keeping Ryan Walters and this whole staff intact, and it looks like that's going to happen. The coaching carousel is freaking wild right now, but nobody's come for Ryan yet. So I think just keeping this group intact and just another year in the system, I think it's going to be really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will, flush this game down the toilet instead of tying a bow on it. Oregon got us this time. Hopefully this motivates the guys because I wanted to max lose to a one game at home this year and we lost both of our big games. Um, Jed has still yet to win a game. I think I were we favored against Michigan last year at home, or were
Might
they?
have been.
I don't think he's won a single game that we were dogs in, and that's got to change.
Yeah, sure would be nice.
Sure would be nice.
You know what else would be nice? If we were just never dogs, if we were the dogs, but we were just favored in every game because we were that good. Like that would be nice. That's a good feeling.
That'd be pretty neat. Well, you just did mention the coaching carousel, Coach. How's it going for the Nittany Lions over in Happy Valley?
Sounds like they're going to steal Iowa State's coach, Matt Campbell, um, which is, you know, I gotta, it's one of those things where like it's an amazing opportunity. He's been at Iowa State for years. The thing about Iowa State is like people are like, well, he shouldn't leave. He's got a good thing going there. And I read an article today how they're operating with such a huge budget deficit, like in the 20 million-ish range every year right now. And I know like the last time I remember he was kind of a candidate. Actually, he was actually really a candidate for us when we
Yeah, he
hired
was right
DeBoer.
before we got DeBoer.
Yeah, and one of the things that Iowa State had to promise him was like upgrading facilities and put more money into the program.
Did they?
And that's like that's a yeah, I think they did, but like that's kind of a red flag. Like like you're not that kind of program if you've got to beg for like what everybody else already has in your conference, you know? Excuse me. And so this time around, it's like, okay, budget deficit, the athletic department's hemorrhaging money. This is as good as it's going to get. And then NIL is full force. Like that wasn't happening the last time
Yeah.
looking around. And I think that if this is your big opportunity to like make a jump, I'm not like I wasn't like a huge let's get Matt Campbell guy back then
No,
because I
you
just
were
think like
always pretty pro DeBoer.
I was blinded by the DeBoer, but I think like he's one of those guys that has like a really high floor. You know what you're gonna get. Like he's gonna establish a culture. He's gonna be disciplined, and he's gonna coach winning football. I don't know what the ceiling is. Penn State's the opportunity to see what his ceiling is because they've got all the money, they've got all the advantages. So it's time to kind of see like, is he that dude or is he just another guy who can win 9 to 10 games?
Yeah, my hunch just based on watching kind of from afar what Iowa State's done is that he's much more of a 8 to 10 win guy than he is go the distance guy. But I could be wrong.
Well, we're gonna find out.
We're gonna find out if they get the deal done because it would be very funny if if they don't close the deal here. And I
So
did not have on my bingo card that Penn State misses out on Kalani Sitake because of crumble cookie money. I did not have that on my bingo card this week.
I've seen it 1,000 times. No, nobody's ever seen it. It was funny because when all the news came out today about Campbell, somebody started listing all the rich boosters that were associated with Iowa State. It's like, stay tuned. It's like, can you imagine? Like Penn State, like they fired Franklin way before they got out ahead of this,
Yeah.
and they have done absolutely nothing to secure a coach. Like I don't understand what was happening behind the scenes. I think they just thought, well, we're Penn State, like people are going to come to
I
us.
think they thought that they wouldn't have to try very hard and they could get Matt Rule or Sig and like I don't I actually thought they were gonna get Matt Rule.
That would have been awful for them.
I agree.
And the Nebraska fans are more upset than anybody that he didn't leave. He signed that extension, and then they just keep losing and looking bad, and they're like, oh, we're stuck with this guy for a while.
Yeah. I almost feel bad for them. But you know what?
He's one of those coaches that keeps failing up.
Matt Rule.
Yeah, he's like the Baylor thing, and it's like, okay. And then he goes to the NFL, and then he just stinks it up there, and they get rid of him. It's like, oh, well, I'll just go to
But
Nebraska.
no one has messier and falls flat on their face with just optics harder or with more splat than Lane Kiffin.
It's so this whole story is so wild because on the surface, if you're not looking at like underneath, right?
Mhm.
Well, you're at Ole Miss, and they spend a lot of money. They've been spending money on recruits for a while, since before NIL, where there's like, hey, they got the number one recruit. Well, how'd they do that? They got money. They're always active in the portal. They've got resources. They've got rich alumni.
Yeah.
Um, they're a playoff team right now, and you think, well, why would he leave? And then you hear these whispers of like, what he's going to make at LSU, and then the promises of $25 million maybe a year in NIL backing so he can build the roster that he wants. That is insane, but it's also in your stinking same conference.
Yeah.
Like you're setting yourself up to be the biggest villain. You have to have such an ego to be able to withstand like you're the most hated dude in Mississippi, and he's white. I mean, that's tough.
Yeah.
I
And I
don't
mean
know.
like he left Tennessee for USC, got literally the term tarmacked is for Lane Kiffin Goes to work for Saban as the OC for a bit. They ask him to leave, and then he gets the job at Ole Miss.
Did
Goes,
they ask him to leave?
I think I think Nick Saban asked him
I
to
mean,
leave,
they were doing really well. I mean, obviously they were
and then
winning a lot.
they got Sark in there for a year as the OC, Bama. So
Yeah, those guys have been tied together forever. Yeah, I don't know. Lane is funny because he said his biggest regret was the 1 year at Tennessee. And then when he said that, I was like, God, I forgot he was at Tennessee. It's just, he's been all over the place, man. And so, good luck. I hope all that money buys you everything you want and helps you win. But
yeah,
my God,
I think the team that has done the sneaky best job this week are our friends down south in Corvallis. What a bang up job of a hire to get Shep. I mean, Shep has got to be Jamarcus Shepard's just got to be one of the most charismatic and inspiring people. Interacted with him while he was kind of playing with his little girl at Raise the Woof prior to the 2023 season. Nicest guy, family guy, all about the people that he's around. He's about relationships. He was all over our recap and our hype videos as just like you see this guy talking, you want to run through a wall for him, and you're a fan. So they got an absolute winner. They got a stud, and gosh, I hope he has a lot of success there because I'd like to take him.
um, I remember going to the coaches clinic that first year they were there as a staff, and it's 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're all upstairs in the Don James Center or whatever, and they're going through coach by coach, and they're passing the microphone, introducing themselves, and then towards the end, Shep comes out from the back. He refuses the microphone because he's loud as hell. He doesn't need it. And they kind of said like, "Hey, this is the only coach that doesn't need to drink coffee at 7 o'clock in the morning. He's just fired up." Matt Foley, motivational speaker. He does not live in a van down by the river, however. And getting that job is a really good first step in his coaching career. And a lot of people think like this is just the beginning for him. Um, Sent a text out to a certain young man that I know who's at Oregon State right now. And I was like, how fired up are you right now for your new coach? And he was so happy. He was so excited. He was part of the team that recruited him when he was deciding between, Washington and BYU. So he remembers that guy. He's very happy. He's super excited for the off season and just getting to work. And like everybody down there is super pumped up. Like
Mhm.
he's already got their attention. So it's really good.
Yeah, I'm really happy, excited, proud of him. And um, I was texting with JCap, but like, are we sneaky Oregon State Beaver fans now? Like, I mean, I'm always a Beaver fan when they're playing the Ducks, 100%. But probably pay a little bit more attention to them now because of Shep.
Yeah, I mean, that's been me for the last year now. So like I'm always trying to like catch their games on the CW,
We
just trying to
lost you,
like tune
Coach.
in, see if he's playing. And so now definitely a little bit more. I might have to get like a beaver hat or something. I mean like an Oregon State hat, not like an actual hat that looks like a beaver. But yeah, I mean, I hope they do well. I hope they beat the Cougs every single time. I told them in the text, I was like, attack the off season, have a great time, enjoy it down there, beat the Cougs. Like
Yeah,
that's what we gotta do,
absolutely.
man.
Absolutely. It's a great first step for Coach Shep. Certainly wish him and his family best of luck. I can't imagine that they're not going to do well there. He's already poaching some really good coaches. I think he's already hitting recruiting grounds with a lot of vigor. I think he's also going to, I think, at least coach this week. I don't know what his obligations are after the SEC championship game in terms of helping Alabama out, but um, we'll see. We'll see. Anything else as far as coaching carousel, things that have been going on around the country that I have missed that you want to talk about?
Um, Brian Hartline going to South Florida, his first head coaching gig, and we're gonna find out. Like, it's funny. One of my friends texted me. He's like, "We're gonna see if it was the Ohio State thing or if this guy can recruit anywhere." I'm like, "I'm pretty sure this guy's just that good and intense." But being a head coach for the first time, like these guys are, they got great reputations in the industry. and it's like that scary first step where you got to go somewhere and really make a name for yourself. It's not like, you start off your career as the head coach at Alabama. You got to go prove it somewhere with fewer resources than what you had when you were an assistant coach. And,
Everyone is named Lane Kiffin or Steve Sarkisian.
you know, Lane, because of his dad, was kind of, born on third base anyway. So, but I mean, I'll tell you what, Lane gets a lot of shit. He's a funny dude. He knows how to like be personable. He knows how to market, but he's always been a really good offensive coach. So now you're going to go down to LSU and try to like change the culture because Brian Kelly was the Tyrone Willingham of LSU the last few years with his complete disregard for trying to recruit, trying to be a part of the process. Like there were so many horror stories about that guy from Notre Dame, but he got worse when he went to LSU. Like he got that payday and he just stopped
Cute.
playing
Also,
golf.
he's one of the most disliked people in college football. Like, it's not just that he didn't recruit. It's that he is just. Did you watch the Netflix special on the SEC, Coach?
I didn't.
And I kind of went in sort of blind as far as like, except for the big name coaches. I did know who Brian Kelly was, but Jason did not, and he was just like, Who's this asshole? Like, that's Brian Kelly. Everyone hates him.
It's Les Miles.
Yes, that's true. On this podcast, you are known as Les Miles, and I'm not upset about
But
it.
it's funny, like everybody in the media or like people like beat writers and stuff, like they couldn't find anybody at any school that said anything nice about him. Nobody thinks this dude is a good person. And then that stuff with his son. Oh my God, on senior night, that was the most cringe stuff I've ever seen. I'm like, free my boy, BK. I'm like, that's your dad.
Your
What are
dad's
you
rolling
talking
in
about?
dough. I don't think he needs to be freed.
I think that's why he's hyping dad up because he knows that like he wants to still be in the will. I don't know,
That's
man.
true. He's probably gonna get 5 million out of that, out of running out of the tunnel like that. So, um,
His
teasing.
NIL is just like his trust fund or his dad's
God.
will.
Oh my God. So, is there anybody else that we need to talk about? Well, hopefully, I guess for Penn State's sake, that they do get Matt Campbell.
I think that's, I think that, I don't know if there's going to be any more surprises. I will say that it's not completely over. I'll tell you what, everybody thought um, Lincoln Riley might be leaving USC, but I
Like,
think that I think that
where would he
pulling
go?
well, that was a couple weeks ago, but like everybody thought he was going to make a move. Maybe went to Penn State or something like that. But now it's a moot point. But now he's also got the number one recruiting class in the country, and it's like okay, it's still USC. They still have the resources.
They will always have the
Yeah.
resources, and they always underperform.
Well, Lincoln Riley, the next time that Lincoln Riley coaches a team that has a very good defense will be the first time.
Yeah, also true. I think
And
one of UW Animals, maybe his best work was when Michael Penix and our 2023 team went down to LA in the Coliseum and played USC, and it was like the Xbox like trying to reconnect defense. Every time I see that, I fall off the couch laughing. It's amazing.
oh, UW Animal, miss you, guy.
We love
Hope
you,
you
man.
come out with something
Let's
soon.
get a bowl job so we give him an opportunity to do his thing.
Yeah, definitely. I will say this. Somebody, I'm not going to name names, mentioned to me that there might be some players on USC who become available in the portal soon.
Who would you be
And
most excited about getting if that does happen?
well, like I said, I don't want to be too specific,
Sure, sure.
but let's just say a certain kid that I might have coached against for a few years would look really good on our offense. And he could step right in for Denzel, maybe. So I would appreciate something like that. Just a big bodied,
Yeah,
athletic person with giant hands who could make plays for us.
absolutely. Would love
So
that.
I like to dream. I'm a dreamer.
You are a dreamer. I know it's crazy. All right, so let's talk about some conference championship games that are going on around the country this weekend. Starting out with probably the most exciting game, the one that we're really excited about. Number 20, Tulane against number 24, North Texas. North Texas is a 2.5 point favorite.
Not enough. North Texas is rolling, and Tulane's obviously got a little bit of a transition here,
Hmm.
coaching.
Yeah, that's true.
I think North Texas is already a pretty good team anyway.
I would say they probably win by 10 or more.
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
Saturday's a big day of football. 9 a.m. We're starting off strong. Number 4, Texas Tech against number 11, BYU. Texas Tech has 12.5.
BYU has had a very good season, but they're going to crumble like cookies against Texas Tech.
Had to do it. Had to do it.
Hey, they got to keep their coach.
They did. And all the
So
cookies. And did you like as a slight sidebar, did you see that the Virginia Tech signing day, James Franklin got all of his new signees crumble cookies as a way to double bird Penn State.
you know
It is
what?
pettiness season, coach.
That is the most amount of respect I've ever had for James Franklin was that move right there. Because obviously, I mean, you got to stick it to the guys who, screwed you over. But, you know, Virginia Tech's in for a hell of a run of 8-win seasons. Anyway,
So we think Texas Tech wins and covers
Texas Tech is going to whoop that ass.
crumble cookies. All right. 1 p.m. local time here in Seattle. Number 3, Georgia against number 9, Alabama. Georgia has 2.5 points.
Um, David Pollock, former All-American at Georgia and ESPN commentator, brought up a really good point about the top three guys on their offense and how two of them are injured right now. And Gunnar Stockton does not have the same offensive line he did 3 weeks ago. And so I think that Alabama's got a nice advantage here. I think they're playing pretty well lately. They're not playing perfect, but they're playing pretty well. And Georgia looked awful against Georgia Tech. Like they just couldn't do anything. And that offensive line, they're not running the ball the way they usually do. They're definitely, shorthanded right now. So knowing that, I'm putting my money on Bama.
Okay. Also heard a statistic that Bama usually wins when they play in the conference championship game.
They're pretty good
Pretty good.
historically.
Yeah. 5 p.m. Our conference. Number 1, Ohio State against number 2, Indiana. Ohio State has 4 points.
I'm looking forward to this. I think that this is going to be a little bit of a battle. Now, the one thing that Ohio State is going to have every single game is that defensive front seven. They're so good. They're so physical. They're so fast. They flow to the ball. Indiana is going to have to find ways to protect Mendoza, and they're going to have to find ways to run the ball a little bit so they're not pinning their ears back. All the advantage, I think, goes to that defense. But if Indiana can sort of, excuse me, if they can just sort of slow that pass rush down
Yeah.
and they can find a way to average like 3.5 yards to carry and just kind of keep them honest, they'll be in this game until late. But I'm still going with the Buckeyes until somebody beats them. Julian Sain's playing better than he has all year. He's, I mean, obviously a first year starter. He's kind of taking time to grow. You've still
Absolutely.
got Tate and Jeremiah Smith and just, this freak show of wide receivers and running backs and offensive line is very good still. So I think they've got all the advantage, but I think Indiana's going to make a game out of it.
So you think Ohio State covers?
I think Ohio State's going to win by 6 points.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna disagree with you. I think Indiana, like Coach Silk is on kind of a revenge tour this year. Um, they had they lost to Ohio State, they lost to Notre Dame last year, and they haven't lost since. And of course, obviously, Ohio State won the whole dang thing last year, so they have a long winning streak as well. I just feel like there's a little swagger, a little arrogance that I love about Signetti. It rubs a lot of people the wrong way. Shout out Hooligan. I totally understand. And also, it's just really fun to watch someone who's that confident and backs it up with how his team plays. Um, if Fernando Hayes Mendoza plays the way he's capable of playing, I think that Indiana could pull it off. I'll be wearing Indiana colors that day. Of course, they're really similar to Ohio State colors. I will not be upset if they lose because I think everybody, I mean, I just want to see our conference, unless they wear green. I want to see our conference win the national championship again. And I would also, my bucket list is to have our conference win and play another conference not named the SEC for the third year in a row for the whole thing because I just get so dang sick of SEC SPN's narratives and their imaginary hypothetical victories and their constant whining about not getting Texas into the CFP. They don't
Don't lose to Florida.
don't lose to
Don't.
Florida. It's very simple. Or they're talking about, oh, it was because we played Ohio State. No, it's not. It's not because you played Ohio State. It's because you lost to Florida.
I don't even think anybody counts that game. It's all the times you've looked like utter trash.
You've had to.
Like, there was a lot of games where they looked bad.
They did. If they played Oklahoma now, I don't think they win. That's just me. The last game, I can't understand. I don't really understand why they've decided to make the Big Ten championship game at the very same time as the ACC. I'm I'm going to take that as disrespect. Maybe there's none intended, but I do take it as disrespect that like they want to split the viewership and show. See, not very many people are watching. Okay, and also because game day is going to the SEC game and not to number one against number two. I whatever. So 5 p.m. also is number 17 Virginia against Duke, unranked Duke. Virginia's got 4 points. I think that's low.
It should be 14, but I mean, whatever. Nobody cares about this game. Virginia and Duke fans don't really care about this game. They're probably going to tune into the other one.
Like there was a joke about like, oh, Virginia and Duke are playing for the ACC championship. Are we in basketball? What's going on?
Mm.
Yeah.
Carlos Boozer's kid's going to have a big game.
Carlos Boozer is going to score more points in his next game than maybe the total points scored in that football game.
Yikes. Yeah, this is definitely not something I'm going to be tuning into very much at all. So
I might be looking at the score on my phone while I watch the Ohio State Indiana game. That's just real talk.
listen, anybody who knows you knows your love for the Hoosiers. So this is a completely biased, viewership
Listen,
anyway.
I have love in my heart for the Ohio State University because I think that their fans are better than Michigan fans. But again, I love it. One of my favorite things that Coach says is the only "the" I recognize is Kermit the Frog.
It's Ohio State, the Ohio State University, and I don't, just send your hate mail. I don't care.
At Coach Velasco 11 is where you send the hate mail, just in
Yeah,
case you're wondering.
do it. I've gotten a lot of it this last week.
Mostly from Duck Zone, right?
The alleged, I don't even know if it's really him, but I have a standing offer to fight him, and I don't even know if it's the real guy, to be honest with you. But I'm ready. Let's go.
I'm not.
Old man V will whoop your ass. I'm saying that on a podcast.
Can't wait. Well, that'll do it for another episode of Fourth and Inch as a Husky podcast. Trevor, we missed you. I hope eventually you got all three of your children down for bed. The Huskies are darn near putting the football season to bed. They have one more game to play. We will find out in the next week who they play in their bowl game. We will see you probably back next week to talk about our signing class. We've signed the best class that we have gotten in 20 years, according to Coach, which is fantastic. And he and the rest of the gang and myself will talk about who we got, who we're excited about, and try to get everybody fired up about who we have coming into Montlake next year. Um,
And let's be honest, there's a lot of people who are going to be excited about the LA Bowl, allegedly. Um, just guys, don't don't embarrass us in Los Angeles, okay? I know there's going to be tens of thousands of us roaming the streets and ready to go to this bowl game. But
More
just
people than would be at
remember,
the Rose Bowl to support
be
UCLA.
be respectful, be safe, have fun on Santa Monica Pier. Do your thing. Go get some In and Out for you guys who don't have it. Um, Let's just be civilized humans.
Is that where we're really going? Is that where we're projected as the LA Bowl?
It is a distinct possibility that we are going to the LA Bowl,
Yikes.
which may or may not, it might be at the Rams Stadium, SoFi.
Okay, that's a nice stadium.
Yeah, I've never been there. Maybe I will make that trip.
You know what? Treat yourself, coach.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wrap it up. Um, so for Coach V, I'm UW Leah. We miss you, Trevor. We miss you, Jake. We lost the rivalry game. That's true, but as much as it pains Oregon fans to hear this, beating Washington, who is 8-4 right now, does not put a natty in your trophy case. And you're still little brother. You're still that team down south. And I know that at Brenna Green, you think that Dan Lanning is the king of Seattle now. He's still only won one game here. He's probably not going to win the next one. So, for Coach V, UW, wherever we end up next, if it's the LA Bowl at SoFi, please don't embarrass us. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. Feel better, Jake.
Shout out JCap.